Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 9 of Minecraft Castles and Cities. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Summerton, or the Summerton Fields. Now, this settlement is mostly about the fields, which are these large, organically shaped wheat fields, which are supposed to be feeding the region. If you're wondering where we were, last episode, last episode I took a look at some ruins, including some over there. And the last episode of Minecraft Castles and Cities, we were taking a look at Medina, which is just across the swamp here. Now, Summerton is mostly made up of these large fields, but there's also a bunch of homesteads dotted around, and some little bits too. For instance, this is a little cross, which is meant to indicate that somebody probably passed away here. And if we look at these homesteads, they're usually made up of one or two little buildings. So here we have a shed. It's just a simple wooden thing storing some grain and tools and stuff. And here is the homestead. So the homesteads are all basically one room little farmer houses. Usually some pretty big families. So here we can see probably 4 people are sleeping here, but maybe more. You can imagine if they're cramming a lot of people in the beds, you might get up to 6, 7, maybe 8 people. And if we come around back, we can see that there is a large vegetable patch. And here they're growing carrots. So most of Summerton is laid out like this, but there are some interesting bits we can look at as well. For instance, here we have a lava pool. So this lava pool generated with the world, and usually when you terraform, you kind of want to flatten out all these things. But in this case, I wanted to accentuate it, so I added a bunch of magma blocks and stone around it to make it look like it's a really hot kind of place that's destroying the land around it, almost like a growing scar. We can also take a look over here through the swamps at Abernathy Farms. So because Summerton is this new up-and-coming place that's growing a ton of wheat, a lot of the older farms in the region are dying and their grounds are faltering and it's no longer what it used to be. And I wanted to represent that here. So as part of the storytelling of Summerton, most of the other farms in the region have been dying off. So Abernathy Farm we can see is in total disrepair. We just saw a really nice shed, but this shed is completely overgrown. And the living quarters are not looking very nice at all. So yeah, it's a kind of sad little place, but it's important for the world building of what it means to have a new community springing up. And now the other side of that is this building, which is a farmhouse that is still being constructed. So here we can see that they're mixing the wattle and daub for the walls. You can see they're putting up pillars and stuff. There's some scaffolding. So they're currently laying out the roof, it looks like. So yeah, you got to show a little bit of life and death in your worlds to make it feel really lived in. Now coming further on down here through the farms, we can get to the first major building, which is the horse breeder. So the horse breeder is basically this huge building surrounded by an enclosure for the horses to roam around in. And you can also race the horses if you want to test out a horse before you buy it or whatever. But here we see a little storage area, and here's the stables. So there are a lot of horses in here. And now back, we can see that there are even more enjoying this area. The most important thing for this build was just to make it as big as possible, for it to be believable that the horses can actually roam free here. So I wasn't really interested in making it look super detailed. Summerton really is just a big way to take up space in your world visually, and also to tell some little stories. For instance, there's no castle in Summerton, but there is this kind of manor house that's surrounded by a little hedge wall. So here we can see that there are some more stables. Let me go into one without horses. So the design is pretty simple. There's some water on the floor here, and then there's a big feeding thing for the horses to crane their necks up and eat some hay. And all along the wall there are a bunch of little open air holes to make sure that it doesn't smell too bad. And you can see there's no real wall around the Summerton little manor house here. It's not super well defended. And coming up here, you can see where the grooms live for these stables. It's not the nicest place. It probably smells pretty horsey up here, but c'est la vie. Over here we have the kitchen and pantry. So, oops. This part, of course, is the kitchen. And in here we have all the food storage. And now finally we're getting to the manor house itself. So here we have a feast hall. You see that there's garlands strewn around. You know, trying to make it look kind of bright, lively. It's a pretty chill place to be, Summerton. It's not that depressing or, you know, it's not that dangerous. Out here, we can walk along this edge here, and you can see one of the ways to make your farms look more alive is to make it look like they're in the middle of being harvested. So this farm here, they're piling up all these hay bales, and we can see a little tractor here where they are basically pulling this along, and as it gets pulled along, you can imagine it's taking up all the wheat along with it. And over here is a fishing spot. Well, it's a gazebo, but as you'll see, it's a pretty nice place to fish, especially with the sunset. The last little bit of the Summerton Manor House I want to look at is upstairs. Oh, there we go. It's a bit of a challenge building on diagonals, but I think it's always a fun challenge. Here we have a balcony, a simple little bedroom, and then coming in here, we have the Lord's bedroom. So, some clothes, nice little paintings and stuff. You can look out the window, see some farms. That's about it for the manor, except that if we go up just a little bit farther, we can get to the top of this tower, to where the flag is. Ain't that pretty? The last building I want to show you in Summerton is not a farm at all. Actually, it's this building here, which is, if we come around the side, a watermill. So you can see here we have the wheel for milling, as well as a little sluice gate here. Essentially, when you don't want that thing running and making lots of noise, and you can crank this wheel here, and it'll drop the gate down so that no water comes back through from the river. And if we just take a look inside here, we can see it's separated into two kind of buildings. So these are the living quarters. You can see it's pretty standard layout here. And if we go through here, we can get to the mill itself. So the mill has this kind of ground level part, and then it goes down, and you can see here's where they're actually grinding all that wheat. I think that's a pretty cool design. Now that is going to mostly do it for Summerton today, guys. There's some little bits I could show you around, but that's the bulk of it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe. Stick around for episode 10. We're going to do something big for episode 10, I'm sure. And yeah, see ya.